Hey folks, all right, so we're making these tools. It's a product we sell for work. It threads into a cam cover and helps lock the cam. Pretty much the first step is we turn a normal bolt into a bolt with a little bit of reduced shank. Nominally, I think it's like 12 millimeters by 6 if you look at the factory tool. 6 millimeters. I have no idea directly what ours are. I just know that these work. But a great trick I found are mag-based drill bits. So they typically have a hollow core, so you can use a pin to eject the core. And so I'm using it as an open core milling tool to go off after those. It's a lot easier than trying to turn on one side of the threads, because now you're so far away from the clamp, you get a lot of bending force and the diameter changes. Plus, as the tip wears, the diameter changes and you have quality issues also with that, like where's your zero. Crazy hollow drill bit, it just does it right from the beginning. So it's a little bit of a misuse of that tool, but it's perfect for us. I have some Tapmatic cutting oil cut with kerosene. That's my norm. Can you see? Sort of ish. Doesn't. I mean, if you really want to see close-ups, comment and I'll do another video. I'm assuming that my 5 subscribers aren't watching live saying, hey, make it close up. See, you're over here. Yeah, I don't see any comments. You're right there. See, right there. You can see. I do have a zero sort of set on this. If the center line has a 0 for this tool, and then the DRO is set for 0 when I stop the cut, and I just watch the DRO. So then you'll see the procedure. I've got like a lot of muscle memories. I've made probably over 1,000 of these. The speed's pretty conservative. It says 360 on the gearbox. I always wear eye protection on the mill and the lathe. Especially on the lathe, this shoot chips everywhere. This cutting bit is, I think, $15-ish on that Jungle website. I believe it's a 1/2 inch size bit. I don't care because we're leaving the cord empty on this, as it were, leaving the cord. So that's 0. We take off about 600. And I don't know why, I must have lost my 0 a little bit. I don't know. Adjust over our Y0 a little bit. Plus, this bit's a bit worn. When they're fresh, they just kind of like chew right through those threads in a hurry. That seems to be a bit happier. Then I chamfer at the end of the thread cut. Now this tool is set 0 so that it can go right in while I'm still on center. I move it in 20-ish down. And then I also bevel the very end a little bit, take the burr off. Put it back to 0, move out a little bit. And use a file. Now when you use a file on a lathe, keep your hand open. Don't ever wrap around either of the ends. That's what my mentor taught me. I've had this lathe 3 years, 22 years, and I haven't broken the lathe, and I haven't broken myself, though I have wrecked a few parts and a few tools. I should have put an hour meter on it, but I mean, that was so cheap. Why is there an exclamation point on the thing? Anyway. So over here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 of them built up. We'll do 2 more, and then I'll start on the next steps. One of my jigs has 2 openings, so I like to do them in pairs. The other part I like about this tool is that because it works both sides or all sides at the same time, you know, bolts aren't on center, they wobble around a bit, and it like self-centers during the cut. And just by coincidence of design, not by choice or by design, this works perfectly in the intended application. And you'll see that in a minute because I quality check all of our parts before we sell them. And that's why I have the actual engine cover in my kit. Alright, so that came off pretty mellow, so we're close enough to center. I just basically set the 0 on sound. Very informal, like most of everything in my life. Like everything, I usually do stuff the hard way, but you know, you do something enough years in a row and then it looks like I'm not sure when we started doing this tool. It had to have been 2006 or 7 probably. And then like we did it the hard way because, you know, the lathe turns this way. And most people, no wait, the lathe turns this way, it turns at you, and then so you cut on this side. Well, what happens is normally it just starts to unwind, which I can't demonstrate very well. So what normally happens is the tool will grab and then it keeps turning and then it unwinds your part out of your holder that I just threw. So we need to do one more. So initially I would just cut on the back side with kind of a square chunk of just bare tool stock. And that sort of worked. It was okay-ish with how we set our zero. But this is so much better. But I did have to slit my little collet so that when you clamp down, then it puts enough force against the threads to prevent them from turning. And then we can cut in a normal rotation because this tool is cut with normal rotation. So it's not going to work backwards. I think I have a little oil on my shirt, but I got it at the thrift store. Plus, I believe we had to do 2 passes to get the precision where I wanted it and the look. And I mean, it was a lot of pain to do it with the way we started using separate normal tools. So once I found this hollow drill, I was so happy. You can order end mills custom made that have a hollow insert. I'm sure they're more than $15. So this works. It works pretty well. It's still cutting on the back. I'm not sure what's up with that. But we're almost done with this kind of batch, so I'm not going to fool with it. I'll just remember it for next time. Alright, so 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we're going to be done with that. Now I'm going to reset the lathe to 0 again. This DRO is a cheap one. It does not hold its 0 if you lose power, but it comes back at 0. So if you leave it at 0 very carefully, then it'll come back. I'll hit the E-stop. That way, no one can turn it on. All right, we don't need this. Okay, so how do we... I guess this works. Okay, so the next step is I'm going to run the threads through a die to chase the threads again. Sometimes these bolts have really crappy threads from the factory. Not to rip on any country, because I'm actually not sure if these are made in, yeah, these are made in Italy, perhaps. You know, it's all about the effort and the cost. I like to have boxes to put things in for my workflows. So I'm going back and forth. That way I don't confuse stuff I've already done. Yeah, I did a pretty good job at that transition with these. This one has a little bit of a catch. So I sort of put angled force between the die and my bolt, trying to get that extra cut going. least these seem to have started really well. Once I had this workflow established, I created a bin just for it. I mean, bins and carts and grouping things by the product is the only way to go for me and my brain. And so then I purchased a M8 die just for this workstation. That way, the one I bought, well, I have a tap and die set that's originally from Snap-on, and I still have that one. See you, Nick. Okay. So that way I'm not cannibalizing the kit. And if I need, if I'm working on something, I know where a normal M8 die is, and it's not the one for this production. So it's part of my workflow is that whenever a tool is dedicated for a product, I try to buy an extra one just for that workstation or that tray or whatever. That way I don't have to, I'm ready to go work and make that money, and I don't have to go chase down those tools. I think a lot of my processes I come up with are based on my crazy. I mask really well. I have great coping skills, and those apply really, really well to industrial process and helping people be productive, helping jobs get done. It makes me a pretty good teacher. I always have to empathize, and so I'll ask questions, and when somebody doesn't understand something, it's a moment for me to learn, because then I can better explain and use my knowledge to help answer their question and make them a better person. I'm blowing on them in case there's little metal bits. There's always little metal bits, but it just helps. Pretty sure I definitely got some oil on my shirt. Hopefully it comes out. Not the end of the world if it doesn't. I'm trying to not care so much about wrecking clothes, especially if they're from the thrift store. I want to enjoy my appearance at work because I can, and I can always get more clothes. So expensive or particularly loved clothes I won't wear to work, but otherwise, it's one of those things where what's the point of having nice things if you don't allow yourself to enjoy them? I enjoy wearing this tank, and I will always enjoy wearing this tank, even with a little oil stain. That just means I can wear it working on Billie Jean too. All right, so we got through the 14. We can put this back. There's a relatively clean rag. Honestly, it's clean enough. I want another box. There's another box. Kind of just going through, making sure the cutting oil is off. Plus, I think these come with a light coat of oil from the factory. These are very much nothing special screws, M8x75s from Typically McMaster, sometimes Granger. It doesn't really matter. They almost always come from Italy. The next step will be the QA or QC, whichever you want to call it, threading it into the cam cap cover. 20 minutes, jeez. This is boring. Like, no one's going to watch this. There was a minute I was going to talk about something, I forget what. So yeah, this is my lathe. It was really cheap at the time. When I bought this, you could buy them with larger through-hole spindles for a little more, not much more. So this is the typical 1236 Chinese import lathe. They're always about $1,300. I have no clue what they are. But at the time, you could get for like $3,000, you could get something with a 2 1/4 or bigger through hole. And I wish I would have, because then everything would be beefier and stronger. And so although this is perfect for home use, once you start getting into anything that's beginning to reach industrial or production, this guy shows his faults real quick. You can see the cross slide sometimes not handle what I'm trying to do. It just doesn't have the rigidity. Everything's a little too small. So I wish I'd had spent more on a bigger lathe, but I didn't know better. And there wasn't a whole internet in 1999 to, help me learn. So this is where this thing goes. So it sits on the left side of the engine like this. The camshaft is centered behind this nub. And you take the little screw off, you push in your cam lock tool, and it comes through this hole, and there's a relief cut into the cam, which this engages, and then also this butts up against the cam. So I try to do a little bit of softening on the end so we don't, I don't know, it probably doesn't matter if it mars the cam because it's intended to be done. There's nothing special about the factory tool other than it costs like $35 or $40 last time I checked. We sell these for somewhere between 10 and 11 bucks. And the only reason it's so high priced is that we have 3 price tiers. So we sell to distributors, we sell to dealers, and we sell to the public. Probably dealer price would be a nicer, more polite MSRP. However, the dealers are the ones who need to make the most revenue from our products. They're the ones doing the most work in the industry. They need the best reward possible to keep their doors open. So the lion's share of profit is in the dealer price level. And then we have to support our distributors who resell to our dealers. And then when we sell to distributors, we have to make money. We can't just give these things away. So just if you ever wonder why something costs as much as it does, it's directly with how many people touch it between manufacturer and your hands. Every time there's a new entity involved, there has to be a level of profit for that entity. Otherwise, they're not going to be there to make the part for you. I mean, we have to earn enough money here to pay the business's bills and for us to try to live. The owner and I, we don't make living wage, but our spouses keep our families going and give us health insurance. thank goodness for spouses. So the next stage is that we're going to press caps onto these. So I made a little fixture or jig, whatever you want to call it, and we drop the bolts in. And then we're going to we'll set the caps in. And then I have this block. So you tighten this together and it stops. And then it pushes those bolts up into the caps the perfect amount. That's done over there on the mill. Maybe we'll be able to disconnect your power, and hopefully we last long enough to do that. If it doesn't, then the video will end because we'll be shut off. The caps are nothing special. I mean, Ducatis are red, so they're going to be red caps. And then we need 14. There are 13. There are 14. The bolts we buy in 50 and the bags come with 25 caps, but you know, life just doesn't always work out like that. I mean, sometimes the bolts, interestingly enough, some of the bolts, the shoulder here is so wide it doesn't fit in our tool. So I just set those aside. All right, let's put our little boxes over on the mill. All right, unplugged your power, and we have to untape your power cord. Whoa, you're grumpy. Okay, bye. Bye, power cord. Are you really happy? Sort of. Okay, now let's carry us all over to the mill. Oh, goodness. Don't anything break. Let's see. There we go. You can sort of see something. Oh, we have a mess from last time. What were we doing? I did we didn't actually do any machining on the intro to mill video. Okay, well, it's still messy. It doesn't matter whether we did something then or not. It's as it always is, because I don't ever set time away to do things right. Okay, you can sort of see. So we just set the caps in on top of the screws. When I made this tool, I was very young and strong, and I was like, yeah, that's just perfect. But as it turns out, I'm not quite that strong now. So yeah, it just perfectly smashes the cap onto the cap screw. It does 2 at a time. How do we make this better? Is that any better? I don't know. Sure, why not? Okay. Drop in 2 more screws. The normal thing people would do would be just set up a jig with one position at a time and use an arbor press and like springs, and it would be like really quick and easy to do one at a time. We don't quite sell the volume of these to warrant that yet. If it ever got to where I was doing these once a week, I would probably figure all of that out perfectly and make it easier on myself. But then I have to take a week to design and build that tool. Good times, right? You know, like I have to go buy an arbor press, and then I have to Google how to do the tool so that it'll like perfectly launch the part out when it's done, you know, all that. So we just hang with it. I don't want to ever use an impact or a power tool on my vise. Maybe it would be fine, I don't know, but I love my vise and it's been with me for 20 years. I don't want to do anything to make my vise mad at me. Your vices are very important to living a good life, so you need to take care of your vices, all of your vices. Vices are a good thing. They hold reality in place. They make life worth living. All right, so we're at 22 minutes. I probably had, I don't know, half an hour. So we're into this for a little over an hour. There's 14 of them we made. You know, like retail, that would be $140. So, I mean, we're probably breaking even on what I make if you took it to an hourly wage. Definitely this part takes too long. I think the other parts of this are pretty well optimized to how we used to do it. By now, I would actually feel comfortable omitting the testing part on every piece on the cam cap. I think it would be fine if one per batch was tested against it, because there's really for the process to gradually fail over time. Once those cutters get dull, they just become harder to work, and then you know it's time to replace them. And this quote unquote tool was made from scrap material like everything in my life. I just happen to have some clear laying around, and I liked it because then I could see the bolts in it. I don't know. It just felt better. So now we're going to go back to the other side and I'll say goodbye. So thank you so much for watching today. Let's try not to hit anything. Journey. Put you back over here. All right. Thanks for watching, and I appreciate y'all checking in on all my different forms of crazy on my channel. Please like and subscribe. I'm been on YouTube a bit with the motorcycle stuff in my legacy life. So I just started this new channel because motorcycles are not the core of my being now. I think I'm just trying to grow as a human and acknowledge and embrace the crazies and let people know it's okay to be true to yourself. So yeah, appreciate likes and subscribes. Maybe in a decade or so, I'll be cool enough to go see other people on the internet. I don't know. We'll see. Anyhow, thanks for your time. Bye.